low voltage wiring is becoming a lot more important within the home, right? And when you think about what is low voltage wiring, if you're not in the industry, it's all of the wire that carries data. So anything that affects your data plan on your cell phone is what would travel over low voltage wire. So think audio, video, internet, etc. That's low voltage wiring, and therefore now you get why it's so important. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Henry Johnson here from Digital Home, back at it again. And today, I just wanted to talk to you guys about like 5 points of advice I want to make about low voltage wiring. I think this is an important topic to cover because low voltage wiring is becoming a lot more important within the home, right? And when you think about what is low voltage wiring, if you're not in the industry, it's all of the wire that carries data. So anything that affects your data plan on your cell phone is what would travel over low voltage wire. So think audio, video, internet, etc. That's low voltage wiring, and therefore now you get why it's so important. And what I've noticed being in this business for a little while now is that a lot of people are not doing low voltage wiring very well, right? And the reason is because a lot of builders, GCs, architects, etc., just don't value it as high as their end clients do. So what they do is they just have their electrician run the low voltage wire because, hey, electricians know how to run, wires, right? So just let them do it. But I don't think that's good enough. Although, right, whether you're going to have your electrician still do it or you're going to reach out to somebody like us, I don't care, but I think these are important things to think about. So number 1 is understand that people want music, right? If you look at something like Sonos, right, it's a media server with wireless speakers, and it has exploded in the industry. And the reason is because people want to have music in all places in their homes. So if the walls are open, wire for speakers. I've been talking this up for a while now, and in this, I think it's important to say it. The walls are open. Put speaker wire in at least the common rooms. I'm thinking the kitchen, living room, master bed, master bath, that kind of stuff. You don't have to put it in every room. You don't even have to put the speakers in at first. You can just wire for it, put a cap on top, and then put the speakers in when you're ready. But it at least gives you the ability to have in-wall speakers, in-ceiling speakers, invisible speakers, etc. Okay, number 2 is wire for wireless. Sounds interesting, right? Like, wire for wireless, why do I need to wire for that? Well, the reason is because when Verizon, Comcast, and I'd assume Google and everybody else who does internet, when they bring your internet and your router into your home, they don't do it for, they don't think about like, all right, we got to put this router in the most central place so that it will cover the entire house. No, the way that they typically do it, and I say this from experience working with them, is they go into the easiest place for them to get into the house, and it's typically the basement. So if you're in a larger house, that's not a great place to have your router, right? And the reason is because it's not going to reach the rest of the house. So you have blind spots all over or dark spots all over the house in terms of where you're not really getting Wi-Fi. I was at somebody's house the other day, and that was exactly the case. They had their router in the basement. They kept buying like other little pieces to it, but the entire second floor of the house didn't have any Wi-Fi. So wire a cat wire or some kind of data wire, cat, fiber, cat 7, etc., to like other places in the house, because then you can just attach an access point or extender, and that way you can get Wi-Fi in other places of the home. Number 3, I'll continue with this wiring cat around the house, right? A lot of builders and people building homes, architects, people in the industry don't think about these data wires, so therefore they're not even putting them in the house a lot of times. So my advice is to start putting them in a lot more places. Years ago, people were putting them in every single room so that you could hardwire in. If you needed to get on the internet, you needed to connect your computer or video game or whatever have you to the internet. Not doing that anymore because wireless has gotten so good. Back to my old point. What I believe is that although this is true, wireless is starting to have a lot more challenges. And this is not just my belief, this is true. It's because everybody has wireless. So they're starting to run into each other. They're starting to clash, and that causes a challenge with their wireless. Another point about that is because you have so many more devices that are using your wireless, you're starting to have more bandwidth issues in regards to it. Everything's starting to get congested. So now imagine 5 years down the line, you start adding even more things that are leveraging your wireless. You maybe now your refrigerator, your microwave, your oven, etc., 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 etc. So wireless starts to become even more of a congestion point. So make sure there is at least cat in the house. I'm not saying where to put it. I'm not saying put it in every room. I'm not saying put 5 in your kitchen. But at least have an ability for when the time comes, somebody can put that cat or fiber or etc. to hardwire into devices that may need it. Okay. I think this is 5, is to think about fiber a lot more now, right? You can think about it for an internet perspective. It's less necessary for internet right now, but it's coming for TV. So wiring your TVs with fiber, because not for what your TVs are doing now. HD, 4K, not 100% necessary. Some 4K speeds, yes, but when 8K comes, HDMI is just not going to even be good enough. Or if you're going over a long distance for HDMI 4K, still not good enough. So it's just the TV quality is steadily improving. As that improves, the content is also going to become, that is going to be 4K, 8K, etc. And you just want to be able to use it, essentially, right? And get that quality, especially as it becomes the norm. And 8K will one day be that. And then, so I think that was 4. And then number 5 is wiring. This depends on the person that's buying the house, or the person that's who the person selling the house to, or person that's building the house, is wiring data wires to the TVs instead of coax. The benefit of this is that you get a lot more of a sleek look instead of having cabinets under the TVs, and the way that we would previously. You can have just the TV there, maybe a sound bar there, and it makes it look very clean. If you run the coax there, then that means that's where you're putting the cable box, and that means you're gonna either need to just have the cable box there with all the wires, or have a cabinet or something there to house it. Finding a lot of people don't want that anymore, so we're coming a lot of times and having to run these, cat wires, fiber wires, etc., in order to make sure that they can put their cable box in the closet, their DVD players in the closet, etc. But if you're in the process of building a home, the walls are open, this is a good time to do that. Granted, there's some extra expenses with doing that, and that's why I say that's why it's number 5, and that's why it depends. But these are different things to think about in terms of doing low voltage wiring. I'm more than willing to have more discussions about that, because there's other things that I could tell you about, and from a low voltage perspective, that would make a lot of sense to invest in and think about as you're moving forward. But these are 5 important ones, I think, and I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts. Comments below, my email or phone number is right there, and let's chat. Peace.